A very bizarre TikTok went viral over the weekend, and it's from this married couple that essentially make content about recovering from a corn addiction in their marriage. And they decided to go see Oppenheimer. And this was the wife's advice for what to do to prepare for the sex scene and nudity that are in Oppenheimer. I honestly was traumatized and disturbed by it as well. I didn't want to see Florence Pugh's weird boobs. And that made me really uncomfortable. So I think this was actually helpful.
The 1 minute and 30-second clip here?
I believe so.
Okay, here we go.
There's boobs in Oppenheimer?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so I research everything before we watch it, but especially this movie. Obviously, I heard about it. Yes, we wanted to see it. It has an amazing rating. We prepared ourselves. I didn't know when the scene was going to happen, and I also didn't understand how the scene was happening. I thought it was just several minutes straight of, but it wasn't. It was actually broken up into, like, it would do a flash of that, and then it would do a flash of normal life, and then it would do a flash of the scene, and then it was like very, back and forth. It was really difficult to avoid it. But obviously my husband and I talk about everything. If we go anywhere or we go see anything, even if it's a concert, movie, an event, we have a game plan. We talk about things like, what if you get triggered? What if I get triggered? Really, the problem isn't what if you get triggered. The problem is what if I get triggered, because I don't want my night to be ruined by being triggered by something on a screen. So essentially, what we did was, when the scene came up, when things were happening, he literally closed his eyes and laid his head on my shoulder. Like, if this is my shoulder, like this is my shoulder, he like this. And then I would just like let him know whenever it was over. And it literally, I will tell you what right now, took nothing away from the story. Him not looking at the screen during did not change the storyline, did not change anything. Have a plan and talk about it before you go.
So a lot of the responses to this TikTok, as bizarre as it is, I agree, for this woman to share this type of private, personal information about her relationship.
That's the only thing I find weird about it.
As weird as that is, I don't think that the proper response is to just lack compassion entirely and say stuff like, wow, it's literally just boobs. Like, why do you care so much? Or, porn addiction doesn't exist, when that's just, if something can deliver you dopamine, there can be an addiction to it. That's just a fact. That response to me just completely lacks any human decency or understanding. I don't think that she should have shared this on a public platform. And I also wonder, like, is it her that wants to share this, or is it the husband that wants to share this?
It's her that wants to share this, or he'd talk about it.
I mean, is it like she's sharing this against his will, or is it like he has to walk on eggshells and let her make this type of content? It all just seems very invasive and unnecessary and embarrassing for no reason.
He's been emasculated heavily.
Yeah.
Like, heavily.
Yeah.
Like, if this is indeed, like, nobody's laughing at him for having an addiction to porn. They're like,
well, some sick people in the comments are.
But the point is like, what she's doing is absolutely humiliating.
She's rubbing salt into the wound. That would have been just a private issue between them that is resolved and it's done, it's over with. Why does it have to be adjudicated on by literally millions of people? This has been seen 40 million times at this point, for no reason other than that people just have no sense of discretion or privacy anymore with social media.
Yeah, there's a lack of boundaries nowadays. And I think this is also, not to make this it's not a gendered issue, but it feels like women feel more of a need to share this type of thing because they're going to get comments from people who are saying, you're so brave for sharing this. You're so brave. You're helping other people by showing that they're not alone. Meanwhile, the husband's over here like, what if I want you to feel alone? What if I want to pretend like I'm the only one in the world who has this problem so that I'm not looked at a certain way?
Like a freak.
Yeah. Like it's
like you're getting paraded around like something is wrong with you.
I'm not sure how he feels about that, but it is also interesting because it speaks to the challenges that people face if they're going to go participate in polite society with something like this going on, because you'd never know that something like this was going to be a problem unless she shared this with you.
I mean, I feel like polite society doesn't exist anymore, and the ubiquity of porn and porn addiction is a lot of the reason for that.
Yeah.
Like, I totally sympathize with the attitude that, like, we don't need to be bombarded with nudity and sexuality in all of our entertainment. And it is almost impossible to escape, it feels like. I can't look at any, like, new Netflix show without this being shoved in my face. And I'm tired of it, and it doesn't take a porn addiction or, like, being triggered to find an issue with that. Yeah. And it's... I don't know, like, I would feel uncomfortable with that no matter the circumstances. And I like that she brought up this point that it didn't take anything away from the plot or their ability to watch and enjoy this movie by ignoring these snippets. That's what shows that those parts of the movie were unnecessary altogether to begin with. People can argue, oh, it showed you that actually this relationship that he had was part of the reason why this struggle session he was going through was so embarrassing. Yeah. And that's why they spliced it together where, like, Florence Pugh is in the conference room that they're in, but then they're in the bedroom again, and it like takes you back and forth. But I mean, fair argument, I guess. It's like less unnecessary than maybe the level of sexuality that's in The Idol, for instance, or like Euphoria or one of these shows. But it's not necessary for the story. I don't think it adds anything. It's just, I think it's vulgar and meant to vulgarize the people watching.
I mean, the nudity in the movie doesn't bother me. I'm just more fascinated by what people are willing to share. Like, I mean, this is her sharing it, though. It's not like he's in the video with her. Like, yeah, that's what's weird to me.
Well, there's another video she posted that she did show her husband in it and their baby in the background. You want to show that one? Yeah. Yep.
It's just, we live in a,
more intense oversharing. We're going to have the sound off, so Bertman, you might want to look at the monitor for this one. She said, since quitting corn, my husband buys flowers and calls me beautiful. Clearly communicates what he's feeling.
Affirms my feelings. Affirms me, invalidates my feelings, no longer blows up at me or calls me names.
Like, why?
Shows compassion for me and holds space for my emotions.
Why is the baby in the background scrolling on the iPhone?
Initiates intimacy and feels more present. These are all on the face good things. It's just so weird to be public
I don't want to see you getting cradled by your husband on TikTok on my For You page. Like, I don't want to see that.
Nope. Okay.
It's just too much.
I feel like she's making the video for other women when it's really other men that need to see this. You know what I mean?
You think other men are going to see this?
Men that are addicted.
Yeah, like she's making it for the women that will say, good job, thank you for making it. This was so courageous of you to be open about it. When the men are the ones who need to be hearing it, but aren't going to be the ones watching the content. So it ends up falling on deaf ears anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels like you're always going to hold something over him, which isn't fair. One of the comments said, baby is shopping on Amazon while mommy trauma dumps.
Yeah, I'm sure the baby.
The baby in the background on the phone is just too much for me.
Yeah.
And then one tweet here says, I know this woman. Her husband secretly had a corn addiction for years, which affected their marriage and her mental health, especially after they had kids. He avoids nudity because it can trigger him into falling addicted again, and they're working on fixing their relationship. She's very sweet, loves her kids very much. Her TikTok is her way of spreading awareness on corn and the effects it has on men, how she wants to protect women from these men. Really sad to see people on X make fun of her like this when they don't know the full context. Well, now that I have the full context, I still think it's super weird to share that. Share that with the entire internet.
She wants to protect other women from men who have this problem. Would this be different if it comes to
vetting possible husbands? That's a valid concern to have. But what is the point of this content?
Yeah,
because I don't think this is changing anyone's heart or mind. It just makes you kind of look like a lunatic.
There's a $20 one there from Dragon's Talon 1001.
It says he was addicted to corn. What about her addiction to validation clicks? Is she working on that?
The thing is it's more socially acceptable to be addicted to validation and clicks these days. So she's not going to, and it's harder to recognize, right? Because the social implications might be like the social implications now. I was watching a thing earlier about the we had the topic on Friday about the OnlyFans the OnlyFans model who's doing nudes for Maui. There's a certain amount of addiction to clicks, likes,
attention.
And to attention that you can clearly see as a well-adjusted person, though I don't know if I would consider myself well-adjusted. Like a well-adjusted person sees that and says, like, that seems out of pocket. I don't know if that's the healthiest way to live, right?
And as I said, can people just donate to charity without jerking off?
Exactly.
That would be nice.
So for this, it's just it does feel weird that they're choosing to share this. But again, if he's okay with this, I guess that's fine. But I
don't
can't
think that's
imagine.
Fine. I think he shouldn't be okay with this.
Yeah.
Some things are just meant to be private.
And
end of story.
And like the other thing is like eventually like they'll have to, the thing about these types of videos is like they have to keep the content coming, especially if it becomes your brand. Like what if it's like it's going to remain an issue now? So it's like he's doing much better, he doesn't have to worry about it as much, but it kind of keeps getting brought back to the forefront of their relationship because she has to keep making content.
Like when can either of them live this down? And it's not easy in such a pornified, hypersexualized culture to get past an addiction like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Somebody says, was he snorting corn? Yes, he was just snorting the corn.
Yeah.
It's just feels like okay, let me hold on. As I'm somebody who's in recovery, it would be like if I was dating someone and she was making videos about my addiction.
Well, it would be more like if you were currently in the addiction while you were still in the relationship and then you recovered and you were still in that relationship and she started making content about it.
Yeah, so I'm, and what's funny too, because it's one of those things that I've actually talked about this, is like one of the biggest disservices I did, especially like the last relationship I was in when I was still dealing with it, is I was never honest about it, right? I was very, very quiet about my problems. But that's because like you worry about how you're going to be perceived by others. That seems like a valid concern if you then share with your significant other, like, look, I've got a severe opiate addiction. And she's like, oh my gosh, I want to help you. And then like 3 months later, she's like, and then he went to rehab, and we've been dealing with it, and he talks to me, he validates my concerns about his addiction, and that's like, and then you're just sitting here mortified. I can't leave her because she's stuck with me while going through this. I guess I gotta let her make these weird videos about how I'm fucked up. I guess
you're kind of hostage.
I would want to hear from the husband or the guy, being like, "How do you feel better? What do you feel? Having gone through that."
Yes,
it'd mean a lot more if this guy were making content of his own volition to talk about this issue to other men.
Yeah.
But sadly, I'm sure there are a lot of, really unhappy women out there in broken marriages that want to see content like this because it makes them feel affirmed.
Well, she says, that's literally what she says in this thing. She says, he affirms me and validates my feelings. Again, those don't mean anything. Those aren't real words when strung together. What does that mean? Does he wake up and say, you are a human being?
Yeah.
Your emotions are real emotions. Duh. Like, it's all just syrupy garbage. Now I'm getting angry. Now I'm annoyed. Never mind. I'm now like, I guess if he was okay with it, now I feel like this dude's kind of would be like held hostage. Like she's stuck with me because, like I said, he seems to have come through this, right?
Hopefully it's not as bad as it seems to be. That's all I'll say.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.